Real 92.3, LA's new home for hip hop, urging you to stay home. Saving lives starts with you. Big Boy's neighborhood, man. We got George Lopez once again in the neighborhood on the quarantine couch. How you been holding up since we last talked, George? Anything changed?
Well, a lot's changed in a week. I'm to the point now where I'm taking medication that's already expired. So I'm like, let's see if this works. So some Prilosec from 2007.
Hey man, it can't be any worse than what's going down up in here, bro. Like,
I mean, and the people, like you said, stay home. Like, this thing only works if people stay home. So
yeah.
From the front of my bathroom up on top, I can see the streets, and I'm yelling at people in Spanish because I don't want them to know. They're like, "Quieren matar a todos, cabrones!" Look around,
Because people, George, you see that some people are still out, man, and it seems like more people are coming out.
This thing only works if people stay home. And, they closed Griffith Park. So, white people they're very resilient. So now they found another street to go around. It's almost like Latinos when you don't think anybody's home and you knock, and then you start to look to the back and you go to the side of the house and there's 75 people in the back, but nobody in the living room.
Yeah.
So I thought I heard you guys come up to the back.
Hey, man, George, so who are you quarantined up with, man? Because we got you on Zoom as well, and I see that you're very relaxed. No one.
No. Listen, so I've never been home this long since I've had the house for 6 years. Right. So it's so quiet. Like, I live by Griffith Park. I heard somebody fighting in Boyle Heights. Like, I heard somebody say, "I'm never gonna be able to be myself," and then doors slam. And
hey, George, have you ever had to sit down and not do a show or sit down for this long since you've been a professional comedian, or even in life?
Even when I sucked, I had more gigs than like once a month, And now, it's bad when guys that don't like you are doing wellness checks on you. Like, they go, "Hey, Carlos Mencia called. He wants to make sure you're okay." Yeah, I'm good.
Hey, George, I was going to ask you a name, but I was like, I'm not going to do that, bro. Like, I'm not going to do that. Hey, George, is there any other thing that you miss? Because you look and you sound very content. You know what I'm saying? But I know that you still got to run businesses. Like George Lopez, your life don't go on pause, but how content are you right now?
That's a good question. Like, I've been working really hard for the last 20 years with the shows and the talk show and the movies and all that stuff. But it was 20 years even before that. So 20 years of like in the clubs and at the Ice House and all that stuff. And then the last 20 years. So to be in this house, for a month or going on 5 weeks now. The crazy thing is, you see this thing. So I'm home during the day. This is a bark reducer, right? So it sends ultra sound waves to dogs that bark in the neighborhood. Okay.
Really?
So everybody has dogs that bark in their neighborhoods. You go to work, you don't really hear them during the day. So I got a Great Dane down there, and there's some dogs across the street. So one didn't work. So I said Amazon. 2 didn't work. I have 6 aimed at these dogs. And yesterday was the day I connected 6. When I hit this, I heard a dog go, "Motherfucker!" I might have to scale back. It might be too much.
Hey, George, is that really something with dogs that you have in your hand right there?
Yeah, man. Oh yeah. Damn. How annoying your mom could. How annoying your mom could be. Just like 6 times that. Jose knows that the Mexican moms. In the old days they used to ring a bell. Come and eat that fucking triangle. This is like 50 triangles and 25 Mexican ants that are that are gonna leave without you if you don't get in the car. High pitched.
Hey George, do you have any dogs yourself?
Yeah, I rescue dogs. You know, I rescue dogs,
dope.
and you know they have CBD. They have CBD for dogs. Like I didn't know that they had CBD for dogs. So I rescued chihuahuas. I had chihuahuas down there, but it's like real CBD. Like it's dog CBD, but it's real CBD. So I've been giving these dogs CBD.
Yeah.
Hey, so
It's
since
September,
and they don't make any noise. Like they just go like this.
Yeah.
and they're all rescues. And like a week and a half ago, I heard one say to the other one, "So you didn't know your mom either?"
Yeah. Talk to me. Converse with me now.
Your dad just left.
Hey man,
I had a brother and they took him and they left me.
Hey man, can you imagine, George, if you really could sit in on a dog's conversation of what really happened? Like, man, I think I was like 6 weeks, and I remember being on the breast, and you know what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine? Like, we love the dog, but that's got to sound depressing.
You know what? If a dog could talk, we wouldn't want a dog to be able to talk, because the police would show up and he goes, "That's the motherfucker right there."
Yeah.
Right there. Kicked me last week. I didn't even do nothing. He couldn't find his keys and he fucking kicked me.
Hey George, can you imagine if tigers could talk, what they would say about Joe Exotic? Either he would be in jail for life, or my man would be out. Have you watched that whole Tiger King?
Listen, first of all, Latinos always know somebody worse. You know, like your tíos watching it and they go, "Dude, you seen this dude? I work with a guy that was 10 times worse than that." But they were eliminating healthy tigers, man. That's not good, dude. First of all, you shouldn't be able to buy a tiger for $700, but also you shouldn't be able to kill healthy animals like tigers. You know, I mean, that's first, and they don't belong. Like Mike Tyson had a tiger, and you know, I think Snoop had one. You're not supposed to have like be in Ladera Heights and a white Bengal tiger run in front of you when you're on your way to the airport.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. And you know, it's a trip, man. They start off so cute. You know what I'm saying? And then they end up, you know, they're big cats, like for real. And my thing is when they tour into, you know, when they tour into Joe Exotic on his foot and old girl, Saf, that it got her arm, it's like man, that's why Saf was like, I can't blame the tiger. The tiger was doing what a tiger does.
You know, there's an old episode of I Love Lucy when they were traveling from New York to California, and they went into like this old country town, and the man was the sheriff, and the man and the old lady, his wife, was the justice of the peace. That's Joe Exotic. Like that girl got her arm torn off. They're about to put a EMT jacket on with a badge. You know for damn sure he ain't no damn EMT, and the EMT don't have a badge.
Hey man, and the wherewithal to grab an EMT jacket. It was almost like, man, but you know what was fucked up about that too, George? They kept the cameras rolling. Like anything happen like that around me, you're not gonna have the footage, you're gonna have a memory. Because I'm dropping the camera.
When Rodney King got beat, got arrested, so everybody had material about Rodney King beating. Bobcat Goldthwait was on Comic Relief, and he had the greatest one. He goes, "If I'm getting my ass kicked and you're holding a camera, put the camera down and help me." Like that guy. I mean, that changed the world. And that guy had just bought that camera that day and was putting it together. And he was out on his balcony just shooting. And that's what he got.
Damn, man. Even now today, George, I tell people, if you see anybody getting at your partner, please put the camera down, help me out. You know what I'm saying? I think it'd be better for all of us if you help me out as opposed to just thinking that you're going to get some money for some footage. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, listen, the Lakers had some great basketball players, but it cost D'Angelo, what was his name? D'Angelo?
Is that his name? Russell? What's D'Angelo's name?
Russell. It cost D'Angelo Russell his gig, #1 draft pick with the Lakers, that he was filming Swaggy P without Swaggy knowing. And then he's like, "Yo, man, so You still hooking up with that chick? No, but yeah, man. You know, he was with Iggy Azalea, and don't ask me how a 59-year-old Chicano knows all the drama between. But that cost him. Like they traded him, and that's why they traded him.
Damn, George, man. I know that you still got to run an empire. You know what I'm saying? And we were offline talking about there's a beer that you are fully involved in, not slapping your name on. It's like real deal.
Yeah, you know, in Torrance, we opened a thing at Brews Hall, and the beer was doing well. We hired a guy from Stone Brewing Company, and then you know they're brewing the beer now. I'll send some over to you guys, and then they hired a guy from Stone Brewery. So I said, you know, can you make a beer that has like a citrusy? That vato came and goes, hey man, I can make a Jamaica beer. I can make a beer that tastes like a Presidente and Squirt, brandy and Squirt. Like it could taste like, you know, when the Saturday night your parents or your uncles would go out, and then Sunday morning they would say, hey man, I left my wallet in the car, go get it. And you would open the door and it smelled like Saturday night in the car, like the sun had been hitting the car. He says, I can make a beer that smells like your uncle's car Sunday morning when you go get his jacket.
And did he come through with it?
Oh man, yeah, empanada beer. You know, I can make a beer that smells, that tastes like the Quiet Cannon parking lot in Montebello. DNA. I put DNA in there. Hey.
Hey George, let me ask you this, man. George, do you miss performing? Do you miss the people right now, or are you enjoying this kind of just shut down? Because it's like I'm at a concert with you.
No, I mean, listen, man. I mean, look, a dragonfly got in my house yesterday, right? Those things are like this big.
Yeah.
And when he went out the window, I said, "Don't leave."
Yeah. I need you.
Take me with you.
Hey man, but
you really cannot be out. I mean, it's not safe to be out. And then, you know, because the only way it works is for us to, you know, stay home and stay self-quarantined. And then, you know, like you have kids that are growing up. I don't have kids. Mine is 24. But now you realize that your kids aren't as charming and maybe aren't as smart as you think they are when you only see them for 5 or 6 hours from the time you get home from work and the time they get home from school till the time they go to bed. You might only see your kids 6 hours, and now you're seeing them 24 hours a day, or you're trying to homeschool your kids, or you're trying to still be supportive to them when you know they're idiots, man. Kids are just stupid. You know, and you still have to be positive. Listen, we grew up here. Jose knows, you know, Jason, you guys know that you could have put a high wire from the top of City Hall to Dodger Stadium, and you could have tightrope walked that as a kid, and your family would be like, I didn't see you do it again. Like there was nothing you could do to get them to give you a compliment for anything that you did.
Now, hey man, now we give away compliments. Everybody gets a trophy now. Everybody gets a trophy.
Everybody gets a trophy. Yeah. So, you know, I think whenever this is lifted, I think, you know, that we'll have a better appreciation. First of all, I don't think anybody will be shaking hands. I think hickeys will be gone. I think that, you know, you have to look at contact sports. You have to look at boxing. You have to look at MMA. I think you have to look at crowds. You know, Dodger Stadium. You know, I have that Citizen app. There's more violent crime in Los Angeles. It's getting a little bit crazy. And then somebody out here in West LA, West Hollywood, Sunset area, somebody robbed a Trader Joe's. Like, I don't know what you think you're going to get from robbing a Trader Joe's. First of all, nobody uses money. And then you go in there and you're like, hey, this is a robbery. And they're like, put it in this bag. And they brought their own bag, that one that they sell you for like $1. Hey, you could rob a bank with the sniffles. You could walk in there and go, everybody, just take the money and take all the clothes off.
Hey man, it's gonna be a whole different world. How much do you miss the Dodgers? Like going to a game, George?
Well, I miss Kobe more than anything. I mean, I can't believe that this is all happening this year and he's not around. That's the most devastating thing. Like, I didn't think I was going to say that, but it is the most devastating thing that in knowing him for as long as we've known him, that as much as we appreciated him, it wasn't enough, you know. And that's not just because he's an athlete, like, you know him personally, but I think that just goes for everybody. Like, you know, not everybody's going to live forever. You know, people are starting to go from this virus. But if anybody learns anything right now, is that, you know, the people that you love the most at one day won't be around. And maybe right now is that time to start mending fences, you know, to start being able to forgive people and to start to call people. Like, and my ex-wife and I have been talking and we've been communicating because, you know, she ended up with all the money, so I might have to, you know, get some from her one day. So I'm like, hey, so what's...
Hey, dude, why did I think this was going to be just straight heartfelt? I was about to come with it like, yeah, man, we learned something. I'm like, okay. Hey, George, but this won't stop you from performing like this break. You know what I'm saying? Because I know at one point, I thought that you was going to, we had talked and you was like, you know, this probably may be kind of a farewell for me. I probably may do some last shows. And it was just probably an idea. But now that you've had this sit down time, do you miss it more, or is George Lopez ready to like say, you know what, I'll come out once a year, or just come, are you done?
Well, you know, I you know, there's a, you know, because of like even TikTok, like you can, like Mayan and I did a video from TikTok about, you know, can I have my allowance? You want some allowance? I allow you to live, you know, so with TikTok and all that stuff, like Constance and I did a TikTok that had like 5.5 million stuff.
Yeah.
So that kind of stuff is interesting because, you know, we've known each other almost 30 years, maybe 30 years.
Yes,
and and in the 90s, I was really angry and in a dark place. But to think now in 2020 that if I go to TikTok, there's literally like maybe 200 examples of my material where kids and people do my stuff with their own voice. And that,
yeah,
you know, that means a lot. You know, it means a lot to me because, I mean, you know, to grow up in this town and to care so much about this town. And, you know, like when you see Mr. Cartoon and Esteban with the LA Originals, to see how well that is and how proud you are of the city, and to be in there with those guys, and those guys were at my Hollywood Star. I think it's like, maybe I'll give it another couple of laps around the block before you finally call it a wrap.
I heard that, man. And I think selfishly, we don't want to see you call it a wrap. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's why I'm even like, man, yeah, George, you got to check in with us once a week. You know what I'm saying? Because I think we need this too, though. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, man, like, not just going back, but I can't tell you just how many shows that I've been at that you've brought so much happiness. Like, and there are people that say, man, my date nights were with George Lopez. I met my girl at the George Lopez show. Yeah. Always thought out the box, bro, with your television show, Lopez. Lopez tonight, to this day, if they had let you have those legs the way that they gave them to Conan, that would be the biggest talk show, period. Because
I think there might be another opportunity to go back in there, I think, because, you know, if you look at, it wasn't just me that the show didn't continue. Back then, like Arsenio had a show, Queen Latifah had a show during the day when we were on. And, you know, every person of color that had a show 10 years ago, a talk show, they all are not around anymore. And every other one is around. So, you know, you never want to blame who you are or what you are for the reason you didn't succeed. But it's not a, you know, Jimmy Fallon was given an opportunity to be bad for years. We were never bad. We just we're getting tweaked every day. Like, you can't tweak everybody every day and have everything be different and not have consistency because somebody in Atlanta doesn't like the way it looks through whatever screen he's looking at. Like that, you know, when Prince was on and when Janet Jackson was on and Sam Jackson and everybody, 50 threw a football to Mark Harmon, and we had a Far East movement, and they did, you know, and we had CeeLo and everybody that was happening with Justin Bieber's first late night talk show. So we had a lot of great moments in 2 years that dudes don't put together in 10 years.
Hey man, I remember one week you came on and I said, George, you had more people in 1 week that sat on your couch than I've had in the neighborhood in years. You know what I'm saying? And I just think where we were then, I don't think they knew how much the culture really drives what's going on. They see it now, but now we have no place to go. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't just the George Lopez, that's the Mexican show, George Lopez. That it was a show that crossed all boundaries and genres, and I love just how raw it was, man. We didn't have nothing like that on TV, and we still don't have anything like that.
Check this out. Here's a story I never told anybody. So Bobby, the prop guy, was the prop guy from my first show, and he and I were pretty good friends. So as the show, you know, people used to dress like if they were going to a nightclub. So after the show, I would look out there and I would say, "Hey, Bobby, there's a girl over there in like a fuchsia top, you know, to be specific, you know, like a fuchsia top. Ask her if she wants." I said, "You see her?" I said, "Don't look over there, but you see her?" And he's like, "The fuchsia top." And he's looking in a direction, and he goes, yeah, I see her, Chief. And I said, okay, ask her if she wants to come back. Dude. So I go to my room and take off the microphone and then go say goodbye to the guests. And as they're thinning out, he comes over and he goes, she's in the green room getting a drink. So I walk in there, and there's probably a girl in there that's bigger than I am by probably a half. And I look around and she's like, hi. And I go, hey, how you doing? And I walk back out, and I go, well, that's salmon.
That's not fuchsia.
He goes, that's fuchsia. I go, that's salmon. So I gotta go in there, and I walk in there, and she's eating lamb chops, but she's done. So the bones look like a cartoon campfire. Remember when we used to watch cartoons? And they'd have the logs on top of each other, like that. She had maybe 15 lamb bones on top of each other, like a campfire that Yogi Bear used to light in Yellowstone Park.
Oh man! Oh Lord! From there on, you probably like, man, get the one in the black. Just scream that one in the black. You know, like Jesus Christ. Hey man, how long did you hang out with her, George?
A lot longer than I intended to.
And that's what you get. You know what I'm saying? I remember the green room area. It used to look like a little after party back there. It used to look like a little after party.
You know, when Blues Traveler was on, like I drank with everybody. When Blues Traveler was on, John Popper hung around, the guy that plays harmonica. So John Popper, and we're in there drinking, and there's music playing. I tell John Popper, I said, hey man, are you the greatest harmonica player in the world? He goes, yeah. So remember he had that vest with all kinds of harmonicas?
Oh yeah.
So he takes one out and he starts playing in the green room, and it's amazing, like the most amazing harmonica. He gives it to me, put it in my jacket, we drink. And at that time, I was still driving myself to where I lived on Nichols Canyon and off of Franklin and Nichols Canyon. I'll buy Red Fool, and the other guy used to live down the street.
I'm glad you said that, because remember years ago when you lived by LMFAO, he was on the air and he was like, Big, I live by them. He said, but don't say anything that I do, because I want them to know. Now that they moved, he's like, oh yeah, you know.
And I thought I saw him, And one night I went back, there was about 150 people in the street, and I saw this dude that was like reddish tint from the tail lights of all the cars. And there's like 150 cholos and black people in the streets. I'm like, is that dude right there? He literally lived across the street at one house over, right? And they threw wild ass parties every weekend. So from John Popper, they said, I get in the car, I had an Audi. They're like, hey, you're all right to drive? I said, I'm good, man. So I go up Barham. As I come down Barham and make a left going down, it starts to hit me that I had too much to drink. Oh. I turned into the Hollywood Bowl and was going up the Hollywood Bowl thinking that I was right near my house. And when I turned left, I'm like, this is the fucking Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, shit.
I turned into the Hollywood Bowl thinking I was almost home.
Damn.
And
did you drive back home or you just stayed the night there?
No, I still drove back home.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So
and you would see, and I would, moral of the story, don't drive drunk. That was before Uber. But I would always, whenever I was close to death, I would always see the Jesus guy walking up and down Sunset and over there at Hollywood Boulevard. So even though he wasn't Jesus, every time I needed him, he was always around.
That was your sign. That was your sign. Give me 5, George Lopez. I'm going to put the timer on. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. All you got to do is give me 5 real answers. All righty? George Lopez, give me 5. George Lopez, what have you done more since we've been on quarantine?
Masturbate.
Masturbate. What have you done less of? Cleaning it up? No. So what have you done less of? What?
Well, listen, I think laundry. I dried myself with some sweats, so I think laundry.
Hey, George Lopez, name 3 comedians. If they could come to your house and do a show tonight, who would those 3 comedians be?
Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor. Eddie Murphy could come and do Delirious, and George Carlin could come and yeah.
Legendary. George, give me 5. Who or what you don't miss? Who or what do you not miss?
That's a good question, man. I don't miss punching the clock, and I don't miss a bell ringing and telling me when to go and when to come back.
I heard that.
When I worked during the day, the bell would ring and then it'd ring 2 minutes later, and you had 2 minutes to get to where you were starting your day. And, you know, a lot of people live with regrets, and a lot of people never take that first step. But, you know, nobody's guaranteed success or nobody's guaranteed failure. So to not try is really the worst thing that somebody can do to themselves. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to do things to you, but not trying is the worst thing you can do for yourself.
George Lopez, give me 5. We're in quarantine. The world is crazy. We're safer at home. The economy is different. If all this could go away today, George Lopez, if you voted for Trump, would you?
No, I would never vote for him.
Damn.
I would never under any situation think about it. And politics aside, clearly this guy is over his head. I mean, wanting to sign every stimulus check or wanting his name on every stimulus check is ridiculous. And, you know, I used to think he would make a great Latino because he had a lot of the things that we say. Hey, you sexually assaulted that lady. Are you kidding? Look at her and look at me and tell me, what are we doing? Or I don't know who that is. Hey, so there's a guy that's been fraudulent. I don't know him. And then they show a picture of him together. Go, I don't know who you're talking about.
Wasn't me. What is the nastiest thing George Lopez has done since quarantine?
I might have pulled some bread out of the trash that I thought was bad. I might have. Wednesday night, I might have gone like, whoa, because trash comes Thursday. Right. Wednesday night, I might have went, hey, wait a minute.
You know what I'm saying? Gotta make this ham sandwich real quick.
I still got the 2 colas and a little piece of oral wheat. Hang on.
George Lopez, give me 5 in the neighborhood, Big Boy's neighborhood. 3, 2, 1. Big Boy's neighborhood, George Lopez. Definitely want to thank you for coming back into the neighborhood and hanging out with us on the quarantine couch. You got to come back in, man. We don't know how long this is going to be. Continue to check in with us.
Yeah, brother.
Hey, man. I love it, bro. And what room are you in right now, George?
Son, I'm in the room that smells the least like culo.
I heard that. So you're not in there a lot.
I'm not in there a lot. But it's beautiful in here. Yeah. I appreciate you guys, and really, like, you're great. People love you guys. And it really is when you're home a lot that your voices and everybody that's on your show is soothing to the doubt that we all have in our lives right now. So thank you, man, for being a champion of the people from out here.
Hey, George, and I thank you as well, bro. Like I needed this too, and LA needed this, the world needed this, man. And thank you for checking in with us, bro. That's George Lopez in the neighborhood, Big Boy's neighborhood.